Last year, Mexico City was devastated by an appalling earthquake. This year, despite the scars still all too visible, Mexico has proudly hosted the World Cup and today returned to the centre of the world sporting stage by reviving the Mexican Grand Prix after a gap of 16 years. Here at the restored, resurfaced and very impressive Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, a memorial to Mexico's Grand Prix racing brothers, the last but one round of the World Championship began with Nigel Mansell needing to finish in front of his rivals, Nelson Piquet and Alain Prost, to become the first British world champion for 10 years. Challenge enough, even with the local regional dancers going full blast in the paddock. But another challenge faced Mansell and the entire entry. Mexico's altitude of 7,300 feet, which rarefied the atmosphere and created major engine reliability problems. On the starting grid for the Mexican Grand Prix, once again in pole position, it was Ayrton Senna's Lotus, for the 8th time this year to create a Lotus team record, with Piquet second, championship leader Nigel Mansell third, and Gerhard Berger fourth. Riccardo Patrese, a superb fifth in the Brabham, ahead of world champion Alain Prost, sixth. Derek Warwick seventh, Tambay eighth, Teo Fabi ninth, and Philippe Alliot 10th. Alan Jones 15th, with the next three places, 16th, 17th and 18th, occupied by British drivers Martin Brundle, Johnny Dumfries and Jonathan Palmer. And last on the grid, in 26th place, Canada's Alan Berg. So Ayrton Senna on the left in pole position. On the right, just behind him, Nelson Piquet. Behind Senna is Nigel Mansell, and in fourth position, Berger. Now, let's just watch the start. Senna gets away well there. Patrese sprints through and Mansell has stalled. He's kept it running, but it's a terrible start for the Englishman. Nigel Mansell gets away very badly indeed. And coming up to the first corner, it's Nelson Piquet muscling alongside Ayrton Senna, who locks up the wheels. And it's Berger third and Prost fourth and Johansson fifth.
And real on-the-limit stuff into the first corner there. Senna fighting to keep the inside line there, with Piquet doing everything he could to get past him, and Piquet has got past him. So Piquet has got round the outside of Ayrton Senna at the first corner, but a tragic start for Nigel Mansell there. We couldn't see what happened, but obviously he didn't get the clutch dropped properly, or maybe the car jumped out of gear, and he's pretty much right at the back of the field.
Well, bad luck for Nigel Mansell right at the start of a critically, and off goes Patrick Tambay, the Frenchman in the Lola Ford. Lap one, Patrick Tambay off. And it looks as though his race is run, because getting out of that loose stuff is going to be very difficult indeed. Piquet then doing what he means to do all the way through the race, stay out in front.
Yes, Piquet now is going to have to look after his tyres. He had trouble blistering rear tyres this morning in the warm-up in race trim, and he really, now that he's in front, will want to take it as slowly as he possibly can while still defending that lead for the first few laps to get his tyres in nicely. A really problematical afternoon faces Nigel Mansell. He's got the physical strength problem of having been drained by having Montezuma's revenge yesterday, and Senna is challenging.
Piquet, Senna, Berger, Prost and Senna fighting back on lap two with a long way to go, and the sensible man is going to be the man who paces himself, because you can get the front tyres going off and heavy understeer, but it's Piquet leading. Mansell is in 18th position as they complete the first lap. Senna second, Berger third, Prost is in fourth place, Alboreto is fifth, Philippe Alliot well up in the Ligier in sixth position, and there you see them. There's Piquet, Senna, Berger, Prost pulling away from the Ferrari with Alliot and Martin Brundle well up in the Tyrrell, and it looked like about ninth position. Patrick Tambay out of the race, bitterly disappointed and probably furious as well. He was unhappy with the way his car was going in the warm-up this morning. And Piquet is now building up a lead, and Berger is challenging for that second position. Behind Ayrton Senna, Prost not so very far behind in fourth position, four different makes of car, and Senna and Mansell is in 15th position. He's gaining places, but he's got a very hard fight ahead of him.
Yes, Mansell putting up places hand over fist. But of course, Nelson Piquet, his nearest rival in the World Championship, currently leading. But Piquet's got a bit of work to do because he's got to protect his tyres. At the same time, we've just seen on both times they've been down the long start-finish straight that Ayrton Senna's Lotus is very quick on the start-finish straight and catches him quite a lot, and he will want to protect that lead.
As into the pits comes Teo Fabi in the second Benetton. Now, we suspected that the Pirelli tyres might be giving trouble. They were wearing very quickly indeed in the warm-up this morning, and it looks as though Fabi has decided that his grip is not good enough, so he's come in. He started off with hard tyres on the left-hand side of the car and mediums on the right. Piquet there is fairly streaking away, the Brazilian. Remember that Piquet won both his World Championships in 1981 and 1983. And Prost now is taking Berger and takes third position. And he's in excellent shape. His car's well balanced and they've got the jet lag problem overcome.
Yes, I'm just looking. I saw as they went round the long right-hander onto the start-finish straight that Nelson Piquet's left rear tyre looked a little bit marked up. And in fact, Senna was a little bit closer to him, and Nigel Mansell now has just gone past, and he's moved up a couple more places. He's now 11th.
Race order, lap 7. Nelson Piquet leads, Senna is second. You see Prost has gone up to third ahead of Berger. In fifth position is Michele Alboreto, there he is in the background. Sixth is Alio, seventh is still Martin Brundle in the Tyrrell, eighth is Dumfries, ninth Johansson, 10th is Patrese, 11th is Rosberg, 12th is Arnoux, and Mansell is 13th and gaining. He's 11th now, Nigel Mansell up into 11th position. He's passed Patrese and Arnoux as you look at Piquet, Senna, Prost, Berger, first, second, third, fourth. And that is Philippe Streff, the Frenchman. Philippe Streff out of the Mexican Grand Prix with a smoking engine. I suspect the turbo's gone. So Patrick Tambay is out, Philippe Streff is out, Piquet is on his way. Streff was in 15th place. Alboreto into the pits, Michele Alboreto into the pits. There is the Italian coasting in his Ferrari, and it looks to me from the leisurely way that he's rolling in as though he's going to retire. Yes, you can tell from the general stance of the driver, the belts come undone. Patrick Tambay is out, Philippe Streff is out, Michele Alboreto is out. What a dreadful season it has been for Alboreto, who is praying that the sure hand of John Barnard will be able to produce a better Ferrari for him in 1987. And now Nigel Mansell is up to 9th position behind Keke Rosberg. And there is Alain Prost, 3rd place, ahead of Berger and Alio, but behind Nelson Piquet and Ayrton Senna. And Mansell into the pits. There he is, Nigel Mansell. Now this is lap 13.
Yeah, and his right front tyre is blistered. So that was the reason for Nigel to come in. Very quick slick pit stop as usual from the Williams team. But that was the problem that the Williams team feared, and that would have been a tactical error possibly by Mansell. He knew that the tyres were marginal, knew that other people would be in trouble, and really should maybe have tried to look after them better. But of course, being so low down after the start, the temptation is to charge. But I think he might have let the temptation get the better of him there.
Well, Mansell's in deep trouble. He's lost places, of course. He'd fought his way up through the field. And Williams are also in deep trouble with tyres here today. Not only Mansell, but Piquet as well was suffering in the half-hour warm-up today. And it is by no means a foregone conclusion that we're going to see the usual steamroller Williams reliability that we have got used to in 1986. Nigel Mansell going seemingly very slow there. There's actually a complex of 8 corners. He doesn't look at all happy, and it's very difficult to get the line through. Well, there is race leader there, Nigel Mansell. He's on his own, and I'm just checking now to see where he has slipped down to. He's down to 15th position again. Bad news, because he's still got another pit stop to make, I'm sure, and it's not looking good for him.
And there's Keke Rosberg now having a go at Alio, and Rosberg really had the most terrible time in practice. He had some 3 engines blow up on him, lots of bothers with the car, really got very few laps indeed, which is why he's qualified so relatively low down, but he's made up the place, out braking. He had to go offline, of course, to get past Alio, and you could see the car really slide about then under braking, but car control is very much Keki's specialist subject. He held it all right, and he's through and up into 6th place.
There's the Austrian, Gerhard Berger, adopting the mantle of Niki Lauda in 4th place in the BMW-powered Benetton. Here he is.
One little advantage, of course, that Piquet has, we said, just discussed the advantage for Senna once they're on the straight of Piquet making the hole in the air, but that works the other way when they get round to the twisty section of the track, of course, because they need, the cars, when they're cornering, need air to flow over the wings to push them down onto the road, and if he's following Piquet too closely, the air, he's in the hole in the air made by Piquet's car, and then of course his wings don't work so well, doesn't push down so much, and therefore doesn't get as much grip. So one of the problems is that the closer you get in the corners, the less grip you have when you're following. Prost would now very much be in Senna's hole in the air and suffering from a bit more sliding around.
And another byproduct of the thin air here at Mexico is that the heat, the additional heat generated by the engine, is very difficult to disperse simply because there isn't the density of air to get rid of it. And a lot of the cars have had to fit bigger radiators, bigger turbochargers to get enough air and fuel mixture through into the cylinders. Lap 29, 39 laps to go still. It's a long, long way in this race. And less than 3 seconds now separates Piquet, the leader, there, number 6, and Berger in 4th position. Somebody going very wide there.
And Nigel Mansell is pretty much holding station, the same, similar distance. He's now 1 minute and 4 seconds behind Piquet, but that means they're running pretty much the same speed because there'll be more traffic problems for Mansell as he's having to pass more competitive cars than these leaders are lapping at the moment. And of course, when lapping, the people should be getting out of the way, whereas Mansell, of course, is having to claw his places along.
4 different cars, 4 different engines, 2 different tyres in the first 4 places, because Williams Honda leads Lotus-Renault, the McLaren-TAG, and there the Benetton BMW, which, unlike the 3 in front of it, is on Pirelli tyres, and Piquet, Senna and Prost there are on Goodyear. So it's a very even battle between constructors, between engines, between tyres, and of course between drivers. And in 5th position now, it's Stefan Johansson, who is 12 seconds behind the 4th place man Gerhard Berger. There he is. 5th, 6th is Keke Rosberg. 7th is Derek Warwick. Excellent that, although he's a long way behind Rosberg. 8th is Riccardo Patrese in the second Brabham. Mansell is 9th. Boutsen is 10th.
And Prost's gone to the pits. Prost peeled off then. He's headed for the pits. And so if this is a routine stop, there he is. Let's see if this is a routine tyre stop. The car looks healthy. So absolutely vital that this goes smoothly now. Trouble with the left rear. And that was not a brilliant pit stop. They won't be very thrilled with that as Prost gives it full boot, spins the rear wheels, cuts back, flicks out as he comes round.
Now, just see Nigel Mansell go past the pits and give a signal. I'm expecting him to come in at the end of this lap. And it really does look as though Nigel Mansell is not going to become world champion here at Mexico, and that the race, the championship, is going right down to the last race of the series, the 16th in Adelaide in Australia in 2 weeks' time. But look how close now Nelson Piquet is to Ayrton Senna in 2nd place behind him. Senna is making a charge and going for the lead. Lap 32, race order, Piquet leading, Senna 2nd, Berger, of course, up into 3rd place, and into the pits comes the Williams of Nelson Piquet, the race leader, which means to say Senna goes into the lead, and Berger, right up behind Senna, is in 2nd position. It's a very slow trip into the pits, but Piquet is making it as quickly as he possibly can up the snake-like entry, locks up his wheels, now? Is this going to be a really super Williams pit stop like so many that we have seen in the past? Mansell has gone past, so he's probably had instructions to go through, and indeed it was an excellent pit stop. Nelson Piquet, what was it, 8.3 seconds on lap 32. And the race order now is Senna leading, Berger second, Piquet has dropped down, and Johansson is well up, and there is the McLaren in the pits.
Yes, and that's Keke Rosberg making his routine stop, and again, a bit of a troublesome stop by the McLaren team. They got trouble with the right rear there, and the left rear, so that's a bit of a disastrous stop for Rosberg. And Piquet, although he crossed the start-finish line as he went out of the pits in third place, I think was passed by Johansson, who was coming hurtling down the straight as he went out of the pits. So Piquet's in fourth place, and Prost is in fifth place, but a little way behind.
And Rosberg dropped down to seventh position. As you look at the McLaren coming towards us now, with the Finn at the wheel. This is his last but one Grand Prix, unless he changes his mind, because he's retiring at the end of the season. And Mansell is now in 8th position. He's only 2 places off the World Championship point scoring place of 6th, but Mansell won't get a point. If he gets up into 6th place, he's got to finish 4th or higher to add to his points in the Mexican Grand Prix, as into the pits again comes Keke Rosberg. He made that awful stop in over 24 seconds, and now he's stopping again. It looks like his race is run. He's got a flat left rear.
Yes, and he was coming in very slowly. It looks as if he may have had mechanical trouble as well as that. Guess they've got to get the jack under the car sometimes. That, but I think it's not just a flat left rear. It looks, yes, he's out of the car. It may be that something's broken, and the puncture was the effect rather than the cause. And Senna looks as if he's blistered his left rear tyre. Now, I think there's a blister across the middle of Senna's left rear tyre. He's just right round the middle of the tread. There's a line of blisters. He's just been going quicker and quicker, and maybe he's overdone it, but it won't bother him too much, because, of course, it's just about routine pit stop time for him anyway. The question of whether he spots it, you can see that normally in your mirror, but that left rear tyre will certainly be slowing him down now. He'll be losing grip on that. And I can't see where Berger's got to.
Lap 36, is Ayrton Senna going to come into the pits? Definitely he's pulled away from Gerhard Berger, which may well mean that the Austrian is in trouble. It was only 1.4 seconds when we lost. There he is. No, it was just the way the camera was looking at the corners, and this is lap 36, and Ayrton Senna now comes into the pits. The fastest pit stop we've had so far was that of Nelson Piquet in 8.3 seconds. Piquet is in 4th position with Johansson, Berger and Senna in front of him. Now Berger leads the Austrian Grand Prix as Ayrton Senna brings his Lotus to a halt.
Well, if you're going to blister a tyre, that's the perfect time to do it, because it really will have cost him very little indeed, and an absolutely magic pit stop in under 8 seconds. In fact, they had the wheels changed in under 7 seconds, the Lotus team, and that could well get Senna away in the lead. Is that Piquet in the background? I can't see. And so Senna goes away in the lead, but remember, he's on cold tyres. Nelson Piquet is not very far behind him. Berger, of course, is now in fact in the lead on the road, because he is still out there.
It's into the pits goes Stefan Johansson. There is Ayrton Senna. There is Nigel Mansell into the pits for his first proper pit stop. I remind you, he came in on lap 13 to change the left front. 7.7 seconds was the fastest we've had so far. 8.3 for Nigel Mansell. And it's really a most unhappy race for Nigel Mansell.
Now, Senna is definitely the fastest man on the circuit at the moment, but if Berger can go the distance without stopping for tyres, and he can maintain this pace relative to the pace that Senna's going, he's going to be able to fend him off. However, the good news for Nigel Mansell is that if either of these two win, and Berger and Senna certainly look to be favourites, because Senna is pulling away from Piquet and Prost behind him, albeit rather slowly, but he is edging away a little bit. And if either Senna or Berger win, that's a great help to Mansell, because he does not want Piquet or Prost to take 9 points, because they're the only two people who can catch him. So it's a vital situation. So that might just cheer up Nigel a little bit. He's got his radio in the Williams. He'll be able to talk to them, and hopefully the team might have given him that news to cheer him up, that at least at the moment, Prost and Piquet look to be less than favourite to get the 9 points that are available. And Prost is having a look at Piquet now, and he's through.
So up to third position, there goes Alain Prost through past Piquet up to third position. Bad news for the Brazilian. Now, does that mean to say that Nelson Piquet, who is second in the championship, 10 points behind Nigel Mansell, is in trouble? Because look at the way that Prost is sprinting away from him now. Prost, of course, having made his tyre stop on lap 30, just over 11 seconds, and is really building up a gap between himself and Piquet. There's Piquet signalling to his pits.
Yes, and I think he was expressing tyre trouble, possibly. I don't know whether they're having trouble with their radio here, because normally they don't have to gesticulate as they go past. They can chat about it. But his left rear looks a little bit sad at the moment, although not a lot worse than it did in a lot of the race earlier.
And now you see the two Williams absolutely together, as Nigel Mansell, who is in 8th position, is caught by his teammate Nelson Piquet, who is 4th, and is about to suffer ignominy.
No, I think that was Mansell unlapping himself from Piquet, because Piquet appears to be in a bit of trouble, and that's right. And that's Mansell going past Piquet, so whatever trouble Piquet's in, he didn't bring him into the pit straight away, but he certainly slowed down very dramatically, and Prost has gone right away from him.
Apologies to Nigel, unlaps himself from Nelson Piquet, who very clearly has got some sort of a problem. We saw at the end of the beginning of the lap that he's now on, him gesticulate across to the pits. Are we going to see him come in at the end of his 44th lap?
And the amazing thing is that Berger may well be going to go the distance, because he's actually stretching his lead over Ayrton Senna. His lead is now up to 25 seconds. And there goes Nelson Piquet. Piquet going into the pits, so we'll see if it's just ours, and that's going to be really annoying for him with the car going more slowly in that single file pit road for him. That won't please him. He's being seriously held up, but he's dealt with it now. Now let's see if this is just tyres. That left front looked a bit tired, so I think he just really ruined that set of tyres. So another good stop by the Williams team over the bumps out of the pit road. And Piquet's now got a lot of work to do. He's the 9 points ready to look out of the question, and Berger's beginning to look very dominant up at the front of the field. He's now 27 seconds. And Berger, and I think Senna may be in a bit of tyre trouble, because Senna has been dropping back fairly quickly from Gerhard Berger, and Prost has got a great deal closer to Senna. So we saw that Piquet, and there they are. In fact, a great deal closer. He's right off his tail, and Prost is having a look to pass Senna. And in fact, Senna is going into the pit, so Senna has done his tyres. Now Prost's left rear looks as if he's got a blister. I think Prost may have blistered his left rear in the... Let's have a look. No, that looked all right as it cleaned up. Now, Senna coming into the pits. I can only surmise that it's tyres. His left front looks... Oh, yes, his left front is absolutely ruined. It's completely blistered. So the track is obviously getting even harder on tyres. And this is all very, very good news indeed for Nigel Mansell, so long as Gerhard Berger, who doesn't seem to be in any bother with tyres, still lapping very strongly, lapping quicker than Prost, nearly a second a lap quicker. And Nigel will probably be saying many prayers for Berger.
There's Nigel Mansell. Now, what a dreadful race this has been for Nigel. Still in 8th position, still lapped. He can only now hope that the mice will get at the 7 people in front of him and get them out of the race. There they are. Berger leading by 35 seconds now. Prost second, Senna third. So it's Benetton, McLaren, Lotus, then the Ferrari of Johansson, the Williams of Nelson Piquet and the lapped Brabham of Riccardo Patrese. So Piquet coming through to complete another lap, and when he does so, it will be the end of his 52nd lap.
And now a new fastest lap for Mansell. Just reduced it by another 10th of a second.
Race leader Berger takes the Williams. Now you can see how quickly Gerhard Berger is going. 37 seconds is his lead now. And into the pits yet again, Nelson Piquet. This is the 53rd lap. Nelson Piquet came in on lap 32. Now he's in again, and once again locks up the left front.
Yeah, this time he's split to the right front as well. So it was a problem that they had this morning, the Williams team. They were another wonderful pit stop by the Williams team. They really had got this together. That was 6.5 seconds.
And that's Johnny Dumfries. Johnny Dumfries in the Lotus-Renault out of the Mexican Grand Prix. He's obviously perfectly okay. He's moving about in the car, and he's just parked it by the side of the circuit. And the seconds ticking away as we look now at Prost in second position.
And Prost has got, I think, Mansell behind him, coming up to unlap himself. Mansell, who is clearly the fastest man on the circuit, having a look down the inside, and that's a pretty brave place to have a go. And Prost left rear, marking up a little through that corner, but we'll see if it cleans up on the straight. And in fact, he's in a Williams sandwich right now. And the traffic, in fact, is delaying both Berger and Prost at the moment. The gap is down to 32.5 seconds, but that really isn't enough for Prost's purposes. He needs to start taking chunks off Berger's lead if he's going to do anything about it. Johansson is still hounding Ayrton Senna. So there they are. This is the big dice of the race at the moment. Senna having to fend off the attentions of Stefan Johansson and to try to look after his tyres, which he's failed to do earlier on. So a big battle for third place.
On lap 61, with Berger leading, Prost by 31 seconds. Senna is 27 seconds behind Prost, and you can see how far he is ahead of Stefan Johansson. So there are the third and fourth men. Everybody has been lapped by Berger now up to Stefan Johansson, who is fourth. Riccardo Patrese is still fifth. Piquet is sixth ahead of Mansell, seventh. They're both on the same lap. Alio is eighth. Jonathan Palmer, an excellent ninth, improving his position in the Zach speed all the time.
There is the battle between the two Williams. And Mansell once again has set yet another new lap record, but Nelson Piquet is managing to hang steadfastly on in front of him, and they are the two fastest cars on the circuit at the moment. Two Williams is the only cars lapping in under 1 minute 20 seconds.
There is Senna, and behind him Stefan Johansson. And the Mexican Grand Prix is certainly finishing with a flourish, and that's it, because Stefan Johansson has blown his Ferrari engine to smithereens.
And I was just calling for the mic before that to say that Mansell still could be in the first four, because Senna was the one I was thinking of with potential tyre trouble, but very dramatic flames shooting out of the back of Johansson's car, and underneath, and the marshals have reacted pretty well. I think to get that out, but they want to keep that stuff going on, and that puts Mansell into sixth place.
Oh, and there is Patrese, who is no longer fourth, and this is a double bonus for Nigel Mansell. Out of the race goes Riccardo Patrese. What rotten luck, because he was going absolutely superbly. He was in fourth position momentarily as a result of the retirement of Stefan Johansson.
Gerhard Berger has completed his 67th lap. He is now on his last lap in the right side tyres. The soft ones look pretty tired on his car, but no worries to him. He's got a big lead. So Berger has driven magnificently. He went without a pit stop. Pirelli's getting a magnificent win here just as they're about to go out of racing so sadly. Alain Prost has driven his usual sensible race into a very important second place, which has moved him up into contention again for the title in Adelaide. Nelson Piquet fighting off Nigel Mansell, who made an absolutely appalling start. He had trouble at the start. I think the car might have been out of gear or jumped out of gear as he went. But despite being ill, he's put on an absolutely wonderful charging drive from the back of the field and an early unscheduled pit stop, and has enhanced his reputation as always trying. He's pulverized for that record, but Piquet is not letting him pass. Senna has shown a lack of maturity again today by blistering his tyres, by going too hard after his pit stop, and that has pushed him down into third place.
But at last, the victory that has eluded Gerhard Berger is going to be his, and deservedly so. Out comes the shaking fist of victory. There is the checkered flag. Gerhard Berger has won his first Grand Prix. There is the elated Benetton pit. They have won their first Grand Prix. BMW have won their first Grand Prix of 1986. And Pirelli are going out on a very, very high note by winning here in Mexico, and the World Championship is still absolutely wide open. Victory then here at Mexico for Austrian Gerhard Berger in the Benetton BMW. Second, World Champion Alain Prost in the McLaren-TAG. In third position, Brazilian Ayrton Senna in the Lotus-Renault. Fourth, Nelson Piquet in the Williams-Honda, ahead of his teammate, World Championship leader still, Nigel Mansell, who is fifth, and sixth, Philippe Alliot. And that means to say that in the Drivers' Championship, Nigel Mansell still goes to Adelaide, Australia, in the lead, but now by 6 points ahead of Alain Prost, who has moved up into second position, whilst down to third, 1 point behind Prost, goes Nelson Piquet, and with Ayrton Senna in fourth position. The Mexican Grand Prix was the story of two things. First of all, the World Championship. Nigel Mansell goes to Australia in the lead, and Gerhard Berger has won the race. Nigel Mansell is too exhausted to join us, but Gerhard Berger is very much with us. Gerhard, your first victory and a magnificent one. Difficult race for you?
It was difficult, but I had very good tires. I don't have to make a pit stop. The car was really good. In the beginning I had some understeer, and the engine was working well. So I'm very happy to win this race.
Now, apart from your driving brilliance, the thing of real interest is the tyres. Did you know all the time that you were not going to stop?
No, I wasn't sure, but I take one hard set of tyres, especially on the left side, and we want to try to go without pit stop.
Now, your danger man is Nigel Mansell, who's 6 points ahead of you as you go to Australia. What do you think about that?
You know, I have nothing to lose. So I think it's going to be a very difficult race, but nice race. I mean, I like to keep the motivation always very high, and I don't want to go with long travel like that without any chance to win. So.
What about the course, Alain, here in Mexico and the organisation?
I think they did a good job. It's never perfect, but it's not the right time to criticize any track, or because they spend a lot of money. They have the good motivation to build the track and to organize the Grand Prix, and it's never perfect. The only thing we have to do is all drivers and organizers and federation work together to improve the safety and to improve the track, but it's not bad at all.
Well, there we are, an absolutely superb Mexican Grand Prix, and we go on to Adelaide with hopes high for an even more interesting and exciting last Grand Prix of the year.